Hello, hello, sweet honeybees, and welcome to the Electric Honey Pot, where energy is the nectar of life. My name is Autumn, and this whole project is about the human experience. The good, the bad, the ugly, and all of the magic that happens in between. I basically just came home from Bonnaroo yesterday because I ended up going to Short Mountain Distillery out in Woodbury, Tennessee to camp out on Saturday night after attending the No Kings protest in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which had a really good turnout. And now I am packing up, rearranging my car so it is packed more efficiently this time than it is for Bonnaroo. Bonnaroo was kind of my test drive, first time going to a festival in this thing, this Pathfinder my sister gave me. And I'm packing up for Electric Forest. I am really hoping that it has a better outcome than Bonnaroo did, since Bonnaroo got canceled due to the venue flooding out and becoming an absolute mud pit, which is pretty disappointing. But I did want to take some time to just talk about my first Bonnaroo experience and some of the magic that took place there. Some of the highs and the lows. I also wanted to talk about a misconnection that I had while I was at Bonnaroo, and I was dumb and didn't get his phone number because I was expecting our paths to cross again over the weekend. But it is a lesson in taking the opportunities as they come, because tomorrow is never promised. So whenever the opportunity arises, you should be brave. Allow your faith to be greater than your fear and just take the chance. I got there on Wednesday and I got there at Wednesday around 1, and I ended up all the way in Plaza 10. So I was super far away from absolutely everything. But it all worked out the way that it was supposed to. A group, Camp Balls Deep, was nice enough to wait for me so I could camp with them. But then as everybody was waiting for me to get through security, these girls kind of dipped in between us. So I ended up separated from Camp Balls Deep. But again, everything happens for a reason, because I ended up connecting and really vibing with my camp next door neighbors camp ramp. You take the ramp to Camp Balls Deep. And I ended up spending most of my time that I was there with them, and they're actually from Michigan. One of them just bought a day pass for Electric Forest, and I really hope I see her there, because she was boosting me up the whole time we were at Bonnaroo, telling me how beautiful I am inside and out. Lauren, I love you. The whole group was amazing. Brent, Sandy, Michaela, you guys really made me feel welcome and helped me feel less alone. I am very grateful that I met you. If I had to be balls deep out in Plaza 10, I'm glad I got to be out there with you guys. But on Thursday, I ended up trying to find the Debussy stage out in Plaza 5. And I kind of got stuck in my feels, because as I was looking for Debussy stage, I accidentally stumbled upon the group camping space that my ex was camped in. I just started noticing a bunch of cars and a familiar setup, and I'm just like, wait a minute, I'm kind of having some deja vu from Halloween. And then that's when I noticed the van with the New York license plate and the familiar number, and I got my confirmation that it was them. I saw my ex's car. So I was kind of in my feels on Thursday night. Went to head back to camp feeling kind of funky, and I ended up running into my good friend Nick, which lifted my spirits some. Ended up staying out, doing a little extra dancing. Then I went back to camp and I cried before passing out. Sometimes you just got to get a good cry in, right? My ex and I were supposed to go to Bonnaroo together. And so I was a little anxious about running into him there. I didn't run into him there, but finding his camping spot just kind of stung a little bit. The next morning, I also woke up in a funk over it. So I made the decision to go to morning yoga to try to cheer myself up. At one point during yoga, I started feeling this emotional release coming on. I started tearing up, and right as I'm tearing up, the woman that was leading yoga quite literally said, "It's okay if you're going through a breakup, if you're going through a hard time right now." I thought I was gonna lose it, so I just kind of got down, took some deep breaths, recentered myself, and it ended up making me feel a lot better. I read my tarot cards right after that happened inside of the rest barn. I have no idea what it's actually called, but it was this big building with eyes and horns, and it was super cool. They had like a book exchange going on in there, a little bookstore, blind dates with a book. There were a couple that I really resonated with what they could have been about. I thought about buying them, but I was like, I probably shouldn't spend the money. But after that, I went back to camp, and I was just kind of feeling like, why am I allowing someone else's projection of me to make me feel like I am unworthy of being loved when I'm an amazing person, even if he can't see it? So I told my campmates that I was going to go to Snake and Jake's Love Shack and see what the sit down if you're single thing is all about. I had actually had Love Shack by the B-52s stuck in my head all day heading in on Wednesday, which is really strange, just, synchronicities. I walked out there to the Love Shack, and I ended up running into the person who helped me get in touch with Camp Balls Deep to camp with them. My good friend Cameron, I met him at Goddess Awakening in 2024, and we had this really deep, long conversation in the hospitality tent that I was working at. Really good person, love him to death. And I told him that I was kind of nervous after finding out that the sit down if you're single was speed dating, and he and his friend were just like, no, you should do it. You should totally do it. So they hung out with me for a minute. We tried to figure out where we were supposed to line up, and we talked to this really tall guy with pink and blue glitter on his face. And he was like, oh no, this is the line for tarot. I'm trying to get a tarot reading. So then we asked a lady that we saw setting up, and she told us to wait in a separate area. So we walked away from the tarot line. It was really hot. The sun was out. I noticed that there was space over in the shade back towards the tarot line, so we walked back over there, and that's when my buddy Cameron told me that I should give the guy with the pink and blue glitter on his face a tarot reading. And I was like, well, the interesting thing is I actually put my tarot cards in my backpack this morning. I just had a feeling that I would need them throughout the day. So I told him that I'd give him a tarot reading, and it was a good reading. All about major life changes, nourishing that inner child. He's trying to figure out what makes his soul fulfilled, and it was his very first music festival. It's also very interesting because the Two of Cups was on the bottom. This is a card about new love and relationships, embracing new beginnings in partnerships and unions. This guy's name is Jordan, and we ended up sitting down beside each other to watch the speed dating. We were really vibing. I really liked his energy. I forgot to mention that before we even walked over to the shady area, a guy had turned around and asked me, he was just like, we're all here for the same thing. Why are we waiting for this to start instead of just having conversations with people? So I started having a conversation with Jordan after reading his tarot cards, and we're just watching the speed dating taking place and really connecting. We have a lot in common. We both really like the beach. We both really like to travel. He was also sleeping in his car at Bonnaroo just as I was. And he's trying to figure out, how he can make his soul fulfilled, because he found out that the work that he was doing just wasn't making him happy. And it's kind of the same journey that I have been on within my own life. Eventually, this guy named Max sits down for the speed dating, and he's looking for someone sweet, kind, and caring. Jordan's just like, you should go up there. You should go up there. I'm like, I don't know if I want to, and no one's sitting up there, so he tells me to go up there again. I go up there. Max and I are two completely different people. He seemed really nice, but he's looking for someone to kind of have a more typical life with, settle down, have children. Whereas I am looking for someone that I can travel with and just fully experience everything that this life has to offer before it ends. And so we rejected each other after speed dating. All of this was filmed by Nectar on YouTube, which is part of Jubilee. And they asked me for an interview after it was over where I got to plug my own YouTube channel, my podcast, my creative project that I'm working on. So I just got this really big opportunity, and it's all because Jordan kind of peer pressured me into going up there and doing this speed dating, which I'm extremely grateful for, because honestly, after talking to him, I wasn't really planning on going up there. I was really enjoying the conversation that I was having and the person that I had already met. We ended up talking for over 2 hours. He even listened to me vent about what's been going on with my mom and my family, which meant a lot to me. I met his friend. I believe his friend's name was Jeremiah, and then this other guy named Jay came over to talk to us, so we had J, 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 and A. Yeah. But I had this VIP wristband, and I was trying to get my money's worth going to the VIP pre-party. So I left them, and as I'm on the ride back over to camp, I just began kicking myself about how I should have asked him for his number. I spent the whole night Thursday networking, but hoping that mine and Jordan's paths would cross again. When that didn't happen, I just kind of reaffirmed myself that if it's meant to be, our paths will cross, and that there's a whole weekend still ahead of us, but that's not exactly what the universe had planned. As it rained and the venue flooded, they canceled the event. Even after all of the rain, Friday night, my campmates and I were walking around trying to find food, and I was just hoping that the universe would align for our paths to cross one more time, because I really messed up missing out on that opportunity, because I just felt this energy around us, and I just felt it in my soul that we had some kind of special connection, whether or not it would be friendship or romantic, who knows, but it just felt special, and I'm really disappointed in myself that I let the moment pass by, especially considering all of the synchronicities that were happening all around me the entire time we were talking. I kept noticing bee totems and this guy wearing a bee pashmina, and I follow the honeybee as one of my synchronicities since my project is bee themed. It just felt like it was meant to be. It felt like it was meant to be, and meant to be. But who knows? The universe works in mysterious ways. If my speed dating and interview thing gets posted on Nectar, maybe he'll find me and reach out to me. I did give him one of my stickers, but I understand stickers are extremely easy to lose at a festival. But Thursday was absolutely magical. I met a bunch of really nice, kind, caring people. I saw ICP for the very first time. I even dressed as a clown, which was a lot of fun, especially considering it just kind of felt like everything was coming a little full circle, because the very beginning of my self-confidence journey began with me dressing as a clown, like clowncore, and going to bars while dressed as a clown. I ran into some juggalos while I was leaving Luke Combs, heading over to Rebecca Black, and they ended up gifting me a Faygo. When ICP came on, I was dancing next to these really awesome people, Gabe and, oh my goodness, I have her on Facebook. I'm so sorry, girl. I'm having a hard time remembering your name right now. I know Jewel is in her name. But I was dancing by them, vibing, and, the Faygo break came on. Take a break, Faygo, Faygo, Faygo. I pulled out my Faygo bottle. I had been dancing really hard because I was feral for that set. As soon as I opened the bottle, it began spraying, and this girl that was standing near me starts, tapping me on the shoulder, and she's like, "You're so rude for spraying people with Faygo." I'm just like, do you know anything about ICP? I mean, if she had been way up in the crowd, she would have been extremely upset, because they opened so many 2-liters and doused the crowd with so much Faygo. And the girl that I was hanging out with that has Jewel in her name, she was just like, "Oh no, I'm glad you did it, because I didn't think I was going to be sprayed being this far away from the stage." And I'm really grateful that I was able to provide that experience for her. She also made the experience magical for me, because her and her boyfriend's energy was unmatched. That crowd was so much fun. Definitely some weird vibes. I never thought I would go to a gathering, which is one reason why I knew that I had to catch them at Bonnaroo. And after that experience, I was just like, maybe I should go to a gathering. Then Friday, I want to talk a little bit about the magic that happened on Friday night. I actually ended up running into a juggalo who was handing me some deems, and I was in my head still about missing the opportunity with asking Jordan for his phone number. So at one point, this guy wearing a witch hat, kind of like mine, with a giant bumblebee hanging off the back of it, walks past me. So I look over at Sandy and I was like, I'm going to go in the tea house for a minute, because that's where the bee guy went. I follow the bee guy over there, walk into the tea house. I notice a pillow sitting on the ground that had a honeybee on it. So I sat down on that pillow. Then this girl next to me starts talking to me about how her knees have been hurting. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I woke up this morning and I could barely move my leg. My knee was in so much pain. And then the girl that was sitting behind me turns around and she goes, "You said your knees have been hurting? I have some peppermint essential oil if you want to put some on your knees." So I followed the Synchronicities, ended up getting some nice peppermint oil for my knees, made them feel so much better. I am so grateful. Thank you so much. And then I ended up running into one of my soul sisters, Candy, when I got back into the crowd. And that was absolutely wonderful, because I hadn't seen her yet. And she had actually helped me feel a little bit better right before going to yoga on Thursday morning, because I had posted to Facebook asking, I had posted to Facebook talking about how I was feeling about seeing my ex's camping site, and I was asking Spirit to give me the strength to focus on myself, loving myself, and what I came there to do. Candy never even saw that post, but she called me and told me that for some reason she hadn't left yet. There was all this bullshit going on, which was holding her back. And she's like, but it all happens for a reason. And then she's like, check out this new painting that I just finished. And the painting was covered in horses, and it had a feminine energy, trifecta symbol on it. And horses were my mom's favorite animal, and it was just confirmation for me that I am being supported by Spirit and the universe, not to let the bullshit with my ex get to me or affect me. And honestly, ever since talking to Jordan, even if even if our paths never cross and I never reconnect with this person again in my life, or even if he's not interested, even if we do connect, just that conversation that we had restored my faith and my hope in myself. I have not felt any kind of sadness or anything about my ex since that conversation. I've actually felt really confident and good about myself. Yeah. Bonnaroo was a really good experience, even if it was cut short. And I'm disappointed that it got cut short, but everything happens for a reason. Everything's happening just as it should be happening. And now I'm going to head up to Forest and I'm going to have a lot of fun. Hopefully see Sleeping Bear Dunes on the way, which is why I'm trying to get packed up so I can leave early, leave today. And who knows, since his first music festival was a bust, maybe one day I will run into Jordan at another music festival. I'm doing Forest. I'm going to try my best to make it to Secret Dreams. I have Muddy Roots lined up and I still have Halloween lined up. Speaking of Halloween, if you are looking to head out to Hula, it's got some Bonnaroo vibes, kind of make up for the disappointment that happened this weekend. You can get $20 off of your Halloween ticket by using my code Electric Honey. Hula's a lot of fun. The Sewanee River is a very powerful spiritual energy source, and it's a great fest. I highly recommend going. Code Electric Honey, $20 off. All right, I am going to finish packing up here. That way I can try to get on the road, kind of get a little further up before it gets dark. I hope you guys have an absolutely amazing day, night, week, month, and year. Thank you so much for listening to me talk. I'm very grateful you're here, and I'm grateful for your support. I love you so much. Stay curious.